Hey everyone, this is Sean Anthony making a new Heads Up Sit and Go video. Today I will be playing two tabling live at the $6 micro stakes turbo level. I've been able to sit seemingly a regular two tables, and hopefully he continues to play me so we can get some action and let me describe some adjustments I'd make against an opponent that I have some history with. As usual, I'm not going to be using a HUD. I'm just going to be going off reads that I create during the games. I'll start out with 2.25x. I've said this before. I think anything between 2x and even a 4x is fine. You just have to manipulate the range you raise with on the button based on the size that you use. Obviously, a larger button raise size would kind of limit the percentage of hands that you can profitably raise. Check back bottom pair here. It's pretty standard for me. Check my ace high here. One of the immediate reads I'll create is turn probing. I'd like to see what kind of range my opponent probes turn with, and that will quickly factor into what I can flop continuation bet with. Check call on the right here. Some people I see check raise top pair here, but I think that just gets you into a lot of trouble, especially we don't have a spade. So a lot of hands, a lot of turn cards will put us in a very awkward position. Any spade card higher than a 9 besides a king, even an 8 or a 2 on the turn, pretty much all cards put you in a really awkward spot if you decide to check raise this hand. Here I will just go with a 75% pot bet and hope he calls me down with an 8 or a 9. I can have 7-10 here, I can have 6-7, 10-jack. There's a lot of cards, a lot of holdings in my range that are bluffs, so I like to actually size larger because of that. It allows me to get more value from my two pairish hands, and it allows me to put more bluffs in my range. Here with the backdoor club draw and no showdown value, I will definitely c-bet this hand. And I will shut down on the turn without any history. If I notice that my opponent, like if I see him show up here with queen 10 or something, that will obviously change my strategy, and I'll start turn c-betting, double barreling more. This is an easy call for me. So that would be a note that I would take immediately. Check call flop with trips. My X and C buttons don't seem to be working. I think I have hotkeys for those, so I need to change those quickly after these two games. Check back my queen high here. If he checks, I may go for a turn delay c-bet to get him off some king highs. Yeah. I think this is a fairly easy turn bet. If he calls, I will, depending on the river, I could go for a river bet as well. I think I would continue with a river barrel in this situation with any club river. I would turn delay c-bet with a lot of club draws. Easy 3-bet here. 3-bet the king jack as well. He seems to be raising a lot of buttons. This is a great flop for my range compared to his anyway. I have all sets. I have a lot of Broadway hands, so This is just a board that I think is great to c-bet anyway, no matter what. I mean, it's not a great, very accurate read, obviously, because we don't have a lot of history, but the way he folded so quickly on this board, I mean, yes, he could have pocket 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, I guess, but he seemingly should have a fair amount of broadways here and aces, so that, you know, a very inaccurate early read would be that he's flatting too many 3-bets, because if he's folding that quickly, I mean, he can have a lot of combinations that just, you know, fold that very quickly, but yeah, he might be flatting c-bets too wide. Oops, and I did not mean to donk there. That was my mistake. Backdoor spades and no showdown value is an easy c-bet for me. Once we get to the 30-40 big blind range, I will start to limp a lot more, see how he reacts to that. One reason to not really limp is if your opponent is folding to too many button raises, but I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case. You know what? At the $6 level, I think a regular might be folding too much, so I will continue to raise many buttons. Check back this. I'll fold to queen high. So I notice he is probing a lot, so there are a couple ways to combat that. One is to c-bet more, another is to call down more lightly, another is to raise his leads on turns more. It's all dependent on how they react to all those possible strategic options. 5-10 offsuit, I will fold. I think as we get shallower, 5-10 offsuit is a possible call because you're getting 3-to-1 odds. And your high card, your 10x pairs are worth more as you get shallower. So yeah, that's a possible flat, but I will fold it to start. This is an easy turn probe for me. River here. I'm going to have to continue here because I had the spade in my hand. I do expect to be called down by like ace-7, ace-6 sometimes. But with the spade in my hand, it limits the flush possibilities that he has. And his actual ace high, his ace hands aren't that frequent. Yes, he did check back the flop, so it's more likely he is a high card. But I think, yeah, we can get away with the river barrel there. Here, I think with my backdoor spade draw, I'm going to lead flop and shove turn on most cards. Spades, 8, 9, 10, king. It's an awkward position though when an 8 or a 9 hits the turn. Like, you almost have to barrel, I think, but that hits a lot of his range also, so it's can be an awkward spot. Ace-6 offsuit, if he raises here, I will definitely just shove. I expect actually game flow wise, he just lost a couple bigger pots, so I expect him to be raising more frequent than usual. Unfortunately, we run into the top of his range. Another note would be 4x over a limp with premium hands. So if we saw him, 2.5x over a limp at 30-40 big blinds, that might actually be weaker. King high here, I'll just check. And then when we hit the pair, I will just hopefully get to showdown and have my 2 win. think I can lead the turn here with my king high, but you're getting into a scenario where you're probably turn probing too much with a too bluffy of a range, because in this scenario I'm going to be leading turn with any 5x, any 6x hand, 9, 10, 9 jack, jack 10, queen 5, queen 6 type hands. So there are a lot of combinations for me to be leading there as bluff. So without a club, I think my king high hands are just too high up in my range almost. Obviously, regs can be very imbalanced here, where I could be leading my entire range as a bluff, and he'll just be folding too often. But without first developing that read, I like to be a little more balanced. I like to just check call. If he checks back here, I will bluff rivers here. I think you have to lead. We're looking to get value from a weakish range, so I don't think you can lead that large. Hopefully like an 8 or a 9 diamond calls you down. 10 diamond, so I could have probably sized it a little larger. Ace 8 offsuit. It's an easy flop c-bet. To balance my c-bet, my value c-betting range here, I'll do a lot of 6x, 7x with no showdown value combinations. This is an easy double barrel. If he shoves, it's unfortunate, but I think we just have to call. I don't see any way that we're good here. Yes, it's probably exploitable to fold here, but I don't see anywhere we're good. We're getting 7 to 2, 3.5 to 1 odds, so we only have to be right like 20-ish% of the time, I guess. This could be a blocker bet with an 8 and 9 type hand. I'm gonna call. So that would be a note that he donk leads. I don't even know if that was for value or if it was for a blocker, like blocker bet to get some value from what I had, I guess. But yeah, so when he checks on the river, I think I would be over bluffing, looking to size very large, because his range is going to be, when he check calls flop and turn and then checks river, his range is going to be much weaker. Here I'm looking to raise, get it in, I think. It's going to be tough to, here I'll check call, I think, just to balance my check range. Like when I check raise and then check, I don't want check turn, I don't want to be that weighted towards bad hands. So I think this is a good situation to check call. Yeah, he'll show up with 10x, whatever, but he'll also, I think he could show up with 5-6. Could show up like with a random like 3-5, I guess. He's been raising a lot of buttons, so yeah. I think that allows him to bluff. And I don't think I'm ever getting called by worse when I do bet the turn and he calls. Here's an awkward spot. I mean, I think I have to call. Like I said, he could have a lot of bluffy hands. Could have diamonds hit himself. Yeah, so I expect, like, I think turn there he should be betting, just because he is 5 high and he has some equity when I do call. But yeah, it's just unfortunate. I like my play though. So on this turn, I think I would check raise with a lot of diamonds. I would, shove my 8-6 of diamonds, 8-9 of diamonds, all those types of diamond hands. I would check call flop with my higher card showdown value diamond hands, like my Jack 7 diamonds on a lot of turns is just going to be impossible for me to continue, because like we could turn equity with an 8 or a 9, but a lot of cards just don't allow me to continue. So I think check raising and getting it in is the better option. This is a flop that he's going to be c-betting a lot, I believe, anyway. So we'll have a lot of fold equity with our check raise. Flat my queen high here. Again, as we get shallower, my queen high is more valuable. Here, I think there's an option. We can lead here for value / protection. He won't have a lot of 9x in his hand. He'll call me with worse 4x and 3x and ace 5 type hand. And it also, he's going to have 2 overcards a lot of the time, so it allows him to, it gives me some protection by having him fold off his 16% equity. 4-5 suited is just one of the hands that I balance, shoving 15 big blinds with. I'll do a lot of ace X hands, so I'm going to have some hands to balance it out with 4-5 suited. Is a great hand for that when we're called. We're going to have decent equity because the 4 and the 5 aren't going to be blocked too often. 6-7 suited, 6-4 suited are other good hands to do it with. It's better than like a 10-jack suited hand, I think, also just because by playing a 10-jack suited hand in a different way than just shoving, it's just more profitable because that hand is actually better. It'll have more equity, like limping or min-raise calling. And when we do get called, if we are shoving, say a 10-jack suited hand, 15 big blinds, those jack and 10 cards are going to be dominated more often. Let's check down my 5x. By checking down 9 high there, I don't think he's going to be bluffing too often in those situations. 6-9 suited, I'll just shove. He seems to be min-raising a ton of buttons. When he's min-raising a ton of buttons, it gets to the point where if he's not calling a wide enough range, like it's profitable to just shove any 2 cards almost. But then if you're doing it too often, you know, it's a balancing act where he's going to realize that and then either open up his min-raise calling range or shut down and limp more often or just open fold more often. So it's a fine balancing act. Check back my 8x here. Look to get 2 streets on many turns. If he bets here, I'll call 1 and then judge the river. Here with that sizing, like he could have a 5x for value. He can have a worse 8x. This is a very easy call, obviously. If he checks, I think this is going to be a queen a lot. Like a 5x, this is one of the rivers that guys just don't like to bluff. Because they think they're going to get called so often, but I think getting 3-1 I have to. So that's another note. Like I like his play there. It looks like a very value-ish type bet, and it's a necessary bluff to make with his 4 high no showdown. So I actually really like his play there. I might size it a little bit larger. And another note I'd take would be half pot, turn probe, half pot, river probe with bluff hands. So if I saw like a 75% turn and river probe, I would weight that more towards value. Just little things like that make a lot of difference in the long run. Alright, so I will pause this for a second after he hits quads and get a couple more games going.